Nice, Garnet. So yeah, so this is Lt Cannamera, and you're with FWC with like the Hillsborough or the Hernando.
I'm in Hernando County.
Oh, okay. So I'm sure you're aware of what happened by now.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
We had a conversation on Tuesday.
Yeah, I remember that conversation. But you said you had to look at the body cams.
I did.
Oh, okay. So yeah.
I looked through the body camera, specifically for I think your concern was the temporary detainment issue.
Well, I mean, if you heard my autistic daughter have a meltdown, she had that meltdown and took me for 4.5 hours to calm her back down. So my main concern was the overzealous activities in order to coerce me into identifying in a situation where I wasn't being accused of a crime, and in a forceful way. I think that was it was dastardly. I mean, in my opinion.
Okay. Kind of when we talked on Tuesday, and I think the officers advised when they were there, hey, we're here for two things, right? We have a disturbance issue, which when I spoke with you, I kind of gave you some information as to the nature of the response that why they were there. They were there for a call of service where someone stated that you threatened them and they didn't feel safe.
Sure, but people can state
Sure,
people can state anything. So when they call 911, and people can make false reports, right? So people can do so very often. So when people make a statement of a threat and it's not witnessed by an officer, and there's no video evidence or audio evidence or even corroborating witnesses that says that this threat happened, there's no investigation done. So what I mean by that is there's bigotry throughout this country. I'm not saying you're a bigot. I'm not saying anyone's a bigot. We don't know. You can never prove motive of someone, but there is bigotry across this country for various reasons. We're on a very slippery slope if we're in the idea that when people call authority figures, that they show up and that gives them the right to violate Fourth Amendment rights. I mean, that's very, very slippery slope.
When the officers arrive, like I said, that's the nature of the call that they're responding to.
Sure.
When they show up, they make contact with you. You pretty much stated, "Hey, I know why you're here. Such and such called. I did have some interaction with them, and I told them to f off."
Yep.
So that now kind of gives them enough to say you're the person that had the complainant called about.
Okay, complainant called, right, and reported a what? A threat?
And said that you were aggressive and threatening, and they didn't feel safe. That's their response to the call. They said, "Hey, this is why we're here." You now have said, "Yes, I had an interaction. I told them to f off."
Yeah.
Okay, great. So now that tells them, all right, well, this is the person that obviously had the interaction with the individual that called.
But you're skipping a step and you're talking over me, which is like very, very inconsiderate because you're doing. Because there's two things when you investigate a crime, you investigate whether a crime has been committed first. That's the first part of investigation. And what you're saying is a report of a threat. That threat that's a fabricated report. So what I'm getting at is the investigation is not whether I told somebody to fuck off. I absolutely told them to fuck off. That's not an offense of the law, nor would it meet any standards of what would be reasonable suspicion of a crime being committed. It meets zero standards in case law and I'm not saying that you don't know the law, but I have been studying the law for 22 years. Okay. So what you're describing is a situation where someone calls the police and they say,
Mr. Stevens, yes. I get where you're going, and I'm trying to explain it. I have not once spoken over you where that's what you're stating that I'm doing. I'm trying to just give you.
Go ahead.
I'm trying to explain it, and I want to be I have not spoken over you. I'm just talking to you. The reasonable suspicion.
Go ahead.
That's all they need. Right?
Reasonable suspicion of what? Reasonable suspicion of what?
You're not letting me.
Because you're saying reasonable suspicion.
Talking over who now, Mr.
Well,
I'm trying to talk to you. I'm trying to explain, but you're not giving me a chance.
But you're being manipulative when you say
I am not being manipulative by any means. I'm just trying to speak to you.
Well, let me ask you a question.
I've explained.
What is it reasonable suspicion of?
Can I finish one statement, and then
Sure.
you can
Go ahead.
ask me the questions?
Absolutely.
I explained the reason why they were there, right? They made contact with you. You said, "Hey, yeah, I understand that you've already said you did tell them to f off, and you're
Yeah.
not. I'm not saying that that's a threat.
Sure.
The part of the investigation is okay. Well, what else occurred? What else was the conversation? What else did you tell this gentleman?
Sure.
All of that is part of the investigation.
Yeah.
So, based on if you look, and again, you know law, so you can look up the statute. It's 901-151. It'll say that based on that reasonable suspicion, the officer can ID you and to conduct his investigation. That's part of what he's doing. The moment you don't identify yourself, and if he has enough reasonable suspicion that a crime was committed,
correct,
is
what you
committed,
just yes,
or is even going to be committed. If you read the statute, he can say, "Hey, I need your ID. This is what we're doing." If you do not give it to him per that statute, he can reasonably detain you until he can identify who you are and conduct that investigation, which is what occurred.
What you're saying, what you're trying to,
I am not trying to say anything. I'm just reading the statute.
The statute says if there's reasonable suspicion that a crime has been, is currently being, or will be committed. You are not misquoting the statute at all. Are you familiar with case law at all?
Frazier versus State. Yes, sir.
So you're familiar with Frazier versus State. And so you understand what the elements that are needed to meet the burden of reasonable
100%.
suspicion. So what?
100%. I'm not going to go. We're not going to.
You
got it. You obviously know the law. We get it. I know that you need to meet the three elements. The problem is they have to talk to you and they have to conduct their investigations to know whether or not it met that standard.
Right, but the identification happens after you meet that standard.
Can I please finish?
Yes.
They have to talk to you to see if that standard was met.
Sure.
Right?
Yep.
Which, if after they identify, and part of that is also identifying you based on what they have.
That's not true. What you just said is not true.
It says it's in there. They can ask you for your ID.
Ask.
They can do that, and until they can do what they're doing, they temporarily detained you, and once they finished all the statements and everything they need, they released you, and they went back. They spoke with the complainant and told the complainant, "Look, there's not enough here to say that any law was broken, and there's nothing that can be done on a criminal matter based on what statements you're saying and the statements that we have heard of what he has said."
Right. I mean, there was never a crime, but there was never a crime to report. What is a criminal activity? What is a criminal activity is calling the police and reporting something that didn't happen. That is a criminal activity. That's perjury. You're filing a false affidavit with a law enforcement agency. So what I reported was actually a crime. For him to say, and we have plenty of witnesses. There was the two people my son was talking to sitting there. There's my son. There's Michelle. There's Ryan. There were plenty of witnesses to account that not only was I not threatening, the only thing I told him is I don't like you. You can fuck off. And there's nothing threatening about that in even the least sense. So the to report a threat or getting in his face, which is a physical activity, never happened in the least bit. Those are complete fabrications. That is a crime that was not investigated. But instead, what was done, and this, I do hate to hear a lieutenant that's very familiar with Frazier, knowing that the three elements weren't met. They were not met. But you're saying that they have the right to identify prior to those three elements being met. But they weren't met, and they couldn't be met because there was no crime committed. So the idea that you say reasonable suspicion, you'd have to pulling teeth out of a shark to get you to say of a crime. And then once you finally admit that it's of a crime, and there's no crime even remotely occurred, then the identification was not necessary. The way it was done, even if we say, okay, somebody reported a threat, and they're investigating a threat, which is a crime, and so because they're investigating that, they have the right to identify. That's what it sounds like you're implying.
They went in. They had reasonable. I just can't keep.
Yeah, you don't have to describe it again.
Suspicion. I've described it. I can probably go open a book and read it to you, which probably doesn't help anything because you already know it. We
I'm familiar. I'm very familiar with case
we
law.
both have kind of have said the same thing.
They didn't meet. They did not meet the three.
Pretty close, right?
Yes, they did not. You and I both agreed that there was the three elements in Frazier were not met. So there was no lawful reasonable suspicion.
They were trying to determine that whether they had been met or not. I don't know that. That's just, again, as them coming into the scene, they don't know, and I didn't say about I'm talking about as far as an assault, whether the crime actually was committed. If crime was committed,
there's no evidence of a crime being committed,
or was going to be committed. Right? There's three different ways, right?
Yeah, but so, I'm hundreds of feet away from. There's no reason to believe the crime. None of that. You'd have to say, well,
I understand.
The plausibility was not even remotely.
Remember what? Okay, but we are going in there with a call of service based on this is what's being stated. I'm not saying that you're wrong or you're right. That's not what I'm saying with what you just said.
I'm saying if you look at a video, it looks jackboot.
We're going based on the circumstances and the initial call that we're getting. That's the information we have. So we respond, and then we're trying to investigate. Okay, well, what occurred? We love to get. There's two sides, right, to every single thing. And I know I'm not going to start saying there's two sides on the right side. That's not what I'm saying.
Right.
There's your perception or your statement of what occurred, and then there's the statement that the other individual will make to what they said occurred, right? Which now you put two and two together, and you say, okay, well, at this point, hey, there's not enough here to charge him with a crime. He has got to be released, and he was being temporarily detained until they figured that out. That's it. It was over
20 minutes. It was an arrest by law. It was over 20 minutes. Not over 20 minutes, but I obviously did not want to provide my identification to someone that was being. Here's the thing: is when we talk about how America, this disconnect between American citizens and law enforcement. Where this disconnect comes from is that, and you hear this a lot in videos and amongst people who say that y'all are acting like Nazis. And the reason they're saying that is because of the papers, please idea. It seems like crack to y'all. It seems like you're trying to investigate people in the hopes to like witch hunt. Like you're looking for a warrant, you're looking for drug addicts, but you're doing it through investigating their history, criminal histories, and running David checks, which is a violation of David's terms of service to begin with. So running my name through David without a case number or a crime being committed is already a TOS violation. And so you guys just do this stuff because you claim qualified impunity. But I don't believe that stupidity is qualified. I think that if a contractor's roof falls in, that they're responsible for that. So we certify y'all. We send y'all to the academy. We pay for that academy. We certify y'all to practice law enforcement, and we expect you to get it right. If you do it wrong over and over and over and over again, people assume that something is going wrong in either the training or the procedure. And what we're finding through qualitative and quantitative data is that there's a problem with the command. Command is basically is making exceptions for people who are acting like Nazis. This isn't Germany, and I just because I come to my public lands to camp does not give anyone the right to violate my Fourth Amendment rights. And for you to justify it as if it's okay, what if it happened to you in front of your children? Would that be okay with you then?
Like I said, I'm giving you the situation based on what I can see and based on statute. You have, and I know you've submitted your public records, so you're getting that information as well.
Sure.
And I just want to make sure that, because if I have to assist you with it, I'd be more than happy to assist you with it. But
I mean, I'm probably gonna. So I like to have depositions. See what I do is depositions. Go ahead.
So the last conversation you and I had, you do have the IG's information and direct contact, and you have all that.
I do. Now I'll tell you what I specialize in is depositions. I file my own because I like to depose my own. So what I'm saying right now is that obviously this conversation is being recorded on your end and mine as well.
On my end, did I notify you that I'm Recording you?
You're a public
I'm
servant.
not recording you.
You're a public servant in the course of your public duties.
I'm not. I am not recording you. I would have acknowledged that I would have said I'm recording you, but I'm not recording you.
Okay.
I'm making simply a phone call to you.
Okay. Well, I appreciate the call, but I'd like to have everything on the record because what's going to happen now is that this conversation, what you've explained to me and what I've got out of it, is that you acknowledge that the 3 elements of Frazier were not met.
I didn't say I am not. I'm going to make sure again, and I'm going to tell you what I have stated. We're saying there's elements that need to be met for the assault charge. I am not agreeing to anything else other than what I just read to you and what we have. If you want to proceed and anything else go, that's fine. That is the right that you have, and you can go ahead and do whatever you need to do. That's fine.
I don't think you created a lot of damages other than you traumatized my family.
Like I said, I didn't traumatize your family.
It's your guys, it's your goons, it's your dogs.
Okay. Again, that is, and I apologize that you feel that way. And if that's how you feel, I can't change that, unfortunately.
You saw it on video. You saw your dogs on video attack a civilian that wasn't suspected of a crime. And then you're forced in this position to try to justify
Mr.
it.
Stevens, you have all the recourse to file and do, if that's your perception based on what your statement is, then you have all the right to proceed further on how you need to see fit to resolve your conflict with it.
You said you were watching this body cam footage with your captain, right?
Other than I did not sit there and watch it with him.
I would like to escalate my complaint to your captain, please.
Yes, sir. I will escalate it to the captain, sir.
I appreciate your time.
Do you need his information or anything like that?
Yeah, I'm gonna need that information. Absolutely. Get my pen ready. Yeah, I don't agree with the reasoning that you're giving me on that. I don't think that you're right. I think that you completely violates Frazier, and I think you know it.
Okay. His name is Captain Matthew De La Rosa.
Captain Matthew De La Rosa. Does two T's?
With Matthew?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, and the email or phone number for Matthew? Or both?
I don't, and I apologize. I don't have his number right on me, but I will. Do you need him to give you a call?
Yeah. Have him give me a call, and I mean, obviously, I want to discuss it with him because you have your standpoint, and I have my standpoint. We don't need to go back and forth.
Yes,
I don't believe they met the standards that is necessary. You seem to think they did, and I think that I want the captain to tell me what he thinks.
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate your time.
Yes, sir. Have a good day.
You as well.